My name is Blanca Myers. I'm 32 years old, and until 6 weeks ago, I believed I was 6 weeks away from marrying the man I loved. I own a small Havik company, small on paper, solid in reality. I built it myself over 6 years, starting with a modest loan from my father, a borrowed warehouse space, and months where sleep came into our stretches. Today, I employ 12 people. I hold long-term service contracts with 3 major property management firms. The business doesn't make headlines, but it pays well, pays consistently, and pays honestly. My life reflects that same philosophy. I own my house outright. I drive a truck that's been paid off for years. I invest aggressively in retirement and keep a healthy emergency fund because security matters more to me than looking successful. I don't chase luxury. I build foundations. William, my fiancé, now my ex, was 28. We'd been together for 2.5 years and engaged for 8 months. Our wedding was scheduled for 6 weeks out. The venue was locked in. The caterer paid. Invitations were already pinned to refrigerators and tucked into purses. From the outside, everything probably looked perfect, like another success story lining up right on schedule. But perfection is often just denial with better lighting. When William and I first met, money wasn't a topic. Not because I was hiding anything, but because I didn't see it as relevant. I wore work boots and jeans most days. I talked about jobs, crews, and broken compressors, not profit margins. He knew I owned a business, but I don't think he grasped the scale until about a year in. When he moved into my house and saw my home office contracts, spreadsheets, invoices, payroll reports, everything laid out plainly, impossible to romanticize or misunderstand, that's when the shift began. At first, it was subtle. Jokes wrapped in smiles. Suggestions disguised as shared dreams. Why did I still drive that old truck? His friend's boyfriend just bought her a Cartier bracelet. Didn't I think we deserved a better neighborhood someday? I told myself it was normal. Everyone wants nice things. Love doesn't mean you stop imagining a future. I convinced myself I was being overly sensitive. I wasn't. The fight that ended everything happened on a Tuesday night. Over the wedding budget. William wanted to add another $15,000, better flowers, a live band instead of a DJ, a premium bar package. By then, the total was already pushing $45,000, a number I'd never been comfortable with. I said no. That's when something in him snapped, not explosively, but sharply, like a blade finally sliding free. He started listing everything he'd sacrificed to be with me. Other women he could have dated, time he'd invested, the years he'd given me, how he deserved a proper wedding after giving me the best years of his life. I asked him, calmly, what he meant by invested, and that's when he said it. Fine. You want the truth. His voice was sharp, almost energized. I'm only with you for the money. I don't even love you. Then he smiled, not awkwardly, not apologetically. A smug, satisfied smile like a man who believed he'd finally played his strongest card. Something inside me went very still. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I just looked at him as the truth settled into place with terrifying clarity. He mistook my silence for surrender. What? He said, amused. Nothing to say. I nodded once. Thanks for clarifying. Then I walked into my office and closed the door. 10 minutes later, he knocked, irritation creeping into his voice. Blanca, are you seriously sulking? I was just frustrated. I didn't answer. I was on the phone canceling my wedding. Yes. I need to cancel the reservation. Yes. I understand about the deposit. That's fine. The deposits totaled $3,500. I didn't hesitate. When I opened the door, William's face had changed. The smugness was gone, replaced by something close to panic. What are you doing? He asked. I'm canceling the wedding. His world collapsed in real time. You're what? Because of what you said. Then came the tears, apologies, backtracking, claims of stress and exaggeration. But it was too late. You smirked. I told him quietly. You thought admitting you were using me would make me cave. He didn't deny it. I told him to pack a bag and leave that night. By the time the door closed behind him, his financial safety net had about 12 hours left and he had no idea yet. I didn't sleep much. Not because I missed him, but because my mind replayed every warning sign I'd ignored, every joke I'd excused, every moment I told myself I was being unfair. When morning came, the house felt lighter, quieter, like something rotten had finally been removed. My phone told a different story. 20-3 missed calls. A wall of messages. The first were frantic apologies. I didn't mean it like that. I was angry. Please call me. Then the tone shifted. You're blowing this out of proportion. You're making a huge mistake. The final message sealed everything. You owe me for the time I invested. I locked my phone and went to work. The routine grounded me. Staff check-ins, scheduling, supply orders, real responsibilities. It reminded me my life didn't revolve around a man who treated relationships like balance sheets. Around noon, my phone rang again. William's mother. I hesitated, then answered. I'd always thought she was reasonable, warm even. She didn't bother with a greeting. What is this nonsense about canceling the wedding? I closed my office door. Did William tell you what he said to me? She scoffed. He said you had a fight and overreacted. Couples fight. He told me he doesn't love me and is only with me for money. Silence stretched between us. Then, well, even if he said that, he didn't mean it. You know how emotional he gets. I laughed softly. I'm not marrying someone who sees me as a paycheck. You're going to destroy him, she snapped. He quit his job because he thought he was getting married. That stopped me cold. He quit his job. Yes, 2 weeks ago. He was going to focus on the wedding and then start a family. I'd never agreed to that. We never discussed it. He made that decision on his own. I said carefully, well, what was he supposed to think? You proposed. I proposed marriage, not sponsorship. She hung up. That afternoon, his father called, calm, reasonable, almost sympathetic. Women say things they don't mean, he offered. That's not what happened. He warned me I'd regret it. That no man would tolerate a woman who walks away so easily. I thanked him for his perspective and ended the call. Wednesday is when it turned ugly. One of my biggest clients called. Someone had contacted them anonymously, claiming I cut corners and pocketed the difference. I knew immediately who was behind it. I didn't panic. I documented everything. Call logs, screenshots, a timeline of exactly when the complaint arrived relative to when William moved out. Thursday morning, his sister posted online vague, but pointed. Some people don't deserve the love they're given. I responded to every concerned message with the same sentence. He told me he doesn't love me and is only with me for money. I ended the relationship. By Friday, William demanded to collect his belongings with witnesses. Claiming he was afraid of me. I agreed to Saturday at noon. Told him to bring whoever he wanted and that I'd be recording everything. Saturday morning arrived with a dangerous kind of quiet. I boxed his things neatly. Itemized everything. Left no room for lies or accusations of theft. At 11:30, my phone buzzed. We're on our way. At exactly noon, 3 vehicles pulled into my driveway. William stepped out of the first car. For a moment, I barely recognized him. He looked smaller, somehow shoulders drawn inward, jaw clenched tight, eyes scanning the driveway like he was expecting a trap. The confidence he once carried so casually had evaporated. His mother emerged next, already wearing that familiar expression of outrage disguised as concern. His sister followed, phone in hand, eyes sharp and hungry for content. Then the third car door opened. The man who stepped out was tall, broad, arms crossed like his only role was to intimidate. I didn't know him, but I didn't need to. He was there to loom. I stayed exactly where I was. A second truck pulled in beside mine. Marcus stepped out. High school friend. Off duty. Calm. Solid. The kind of presence that didn't announce authority, but carried it anyway. The badge clipped to his belt was visible without being flashy. William froze. What is this? His mother demanded, eyes narrowing, just making sure everything stays peaceful. I said evenly. Same reason you brought him. The big man suddenly became fascinated with the gravel at his feet. I gestured toward the open garage. Everything's boxed. You're free to check it. William's sister immediately started taking photos. For documentation, she announced. Of course, I said. I'm recording to William moved through the boxes slowly, opening and closing them with exaggerated irritation. You didn't even fold these properly. He scoffed. You're welcome to refold them in your own space. While the others were distracted, his mother stepped closer. Her voice dropped, sharp and poisonous. You know you're ruining his life, right? He has no job, no savings. He was counting on this marriage. He was counting on my money. I corrected calmly. There's a difference. Her lips pressed thin. What kind of woman abandons her fiancé over a few words? I met her gaze without blinking. What kind of man tells his fiancé he doesn't love her and is only with her for money and expects her to stay? Her face twisted with something ugly. You're going to die alone. Maybe, I said evenly, but at least I won't be paying for the privilege. That ended the conversation. The process dragged on for 2 hours. Complaints, passive-aggressive remarks, accusations disguised as jokes. Marcus never spoke. He didn't have to. His presence was enough as the final box was loaded into William's car. He approached me one last time. His voice softened, carefully calibrated for maximum manipulation. You know I didn't mean it, right? I said nothing. I was testing you. He rushed on. To see if you really loved me. I stared at him, stunned not by the audacity, but by how sincerely he believed this would work. Testing me? I repeated flatly. Yeah. To see if you'd fight for us. And you just gave up. Something inside me hardened for good. If that was a test, I said quietly, you failed it. He frowned, confusion flickering across his face. What does that mean? It means you showed me exactly who you are, and I finally stopped lying to myself about it. He had no response to that. They left shortly after. I watched until the last car disappeared around the corner, then locked the door and poured myself a drink. I sat in the quiet of my own house and let the stillness settle into my bones. That should have been the end. Of course. It WASN single quotes T. Sunday night. A text arrived from an unknown number. This is legal counsel representing my client. She is exploring options regarding emotional and financial damages caused by your actions. Expect formal communication within the week. I smiled for the first time in days. Because now it was no longer personal. It was procedural. I called my lawyer Monday morning not out of fear, but clarity. I'd learned something important over the years. When people like William lose control, they escalate. And escalation collapses fastest under documentation. I laid everything out. The confession, the business smear, the social media posts, the intimidation attempt at my home, the fake legal threat. When I finished, my lawyer paused. Let me be clear, he said slowly. He admitted he was with you for financial gain. And now he's threatening legal action because you didn't marry him? Yes. And he's doing it through supposed legal representation? Yes. He exhaled. Forward me everything. Within the hour. I sent screenshots, call logs, timestamps. The anonymous complaint laid neatly into a timeline showing it happened less than 48 hours after William moved out. This isn't a lawsuit, my lawyer said later that day. It's harassment, possibly extortion. The word clicked immediately. For 2 days, he assembled a clean, brutal response. On Wednesday morning, he sent it, professional, detached, devastating. It outlined William's admission, the attempted business sabotage, the defamatory social media activity, the physical intimidation, and the fraudulent legal threat. Then the final paragraph. Should your client proceed, we will counterclaim for defamation, harassment, intentional interference with business relations, and fraud if you are falsely representing yourself as licensed counsel. This matter will be reported immediately. All further contact must cease. The silence afterward was absolute. Then William's mother called. You're really going to sue him? She demanded. I haven't sued anyone, I said calmly. I responded to his threat. He's devastated. He hasn't eaten in days. That's not my responsibility. He made his priorities clear. You're heartless. I'm protecting myself from someone who tried to damage my livelihood. There's a difference. She hung up. That afternoon, my largest client called. I reviewed everything you sent, the owner said. Frankly, we're embarrassed we even entertained the complaint. As a sign of confidence, we're extending your contract another year. I sat there after the call ended, letting the tension finally drain from my shoulders. By Friday, the truth surfaced quietly through mutual connections. The lawyer wasn't a lawyer. He was William's sister's boyfriend, a paralegal playing pretend, using his firm's letterhead without authorization. My attorney filed a formal complaint with his firm. I never learned if he was fired, but I did hear he was removed from any client-facing work almost immediately. A week later, William's sister dumped him. Irony, it turns out, is efficient. The smear campaign evaporated. The anonymous complaint died. Friends who'd questioned me reached out privately, heard the full story, and quietly disengaged from William's version of events. No lawsuit ever came. 3 weeks have passed since the night William smirked and told me the truth. Long enough for the chaos to burn itself out. Long enough for clarity to settle in. The legal threat vanished. The intimidation failed. The bluff collapsed under its own weight. The fake lawyer situation resolved itself without any revenge on my part. Consequences did the work for me. William moved back in with his parents. He's struggling to find work. Turns out, quitting your job because you think you've secured lifelong financial support doesn't age well, especially when you're former. Co-workers remember you announcing you were above them. Now, his financial security lasted exactly 12 hours after he left my house. That's what 2.5 years of pretending earned him. Do I feel bad? A little. Not for where he ended up, but for the way he sees love as a transaction. That's a lonely way to move through the world. Do I feel foolish? Yes. The signs were there from the beginning. I just wanted to believe better. I wanted to believe I wasn't being used. The hardest part is this. I did love him. Truly and completely. That imbalance hurts more than the betrayal itself. I've secured my life now. Changed the locks. Updated the security system. Not out of fear but wisdom. The wedding deposits are gone. The ring sits in a drawer. I'll decide what to do with it when it stops feeling symbolic. For now, I'm living, working, resting, relearning who I am without someone else's expectations shaping my decisions. Someone asked me recently if I regret not giving him another chance. Here's the truth. You can't counsel someone into loving you. You can't therapy your way out of being seen as a paycheck. He didn't say those words in panic or anger. He said them with relief, like he'd been waiting to finally drop the mask. You don't come back from that. Some people say I was too cold, too decisive, too quick to throw away 2.5 years. But I ask the same question I asked myself that night. Work through what? Exactly? He told me exactly who he was. I finally believed him. And I would rather be alone, clear-eyed, and grounded than married to someone who sees me as a bank account with legs. That's the whole story. And the lesson is simple. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them, even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts.